I'm looking at the latest from the National Weather Service, and it sounds like the roads are still passable. The issue's gonna be how twisted these roads are. It might be like ice skating on the edge of a cliff, so take it slow if you have to, but make sure you stay out in front. First the dust storm, then the blizzard. Wonder if those gods of the desert whispered about you to the gods of the mountain. But hopefully, they're all in cahoots with the gods of victory, right? Actually, this race is right on brand for our little racing club. Our whole thing is taking the world's best street racers and shoving them into utterly bonkers racing situations. I'd say this qualifies. Blind turn after blind turn, the real opposite of ideal racing conditions, huh? So don't panic, but FYI, your engine's starting to overheat from the climb. Just get to the top and the weather should cool it down before the next leg. You're rocking this. Just keep going. And welcome to the summit. I know that was probably like sledding uphill, but you made it to the peak. Of course, what drives up must drive down. Hope you're ready for a fun descent. Okay, you're about to cruise down a highway that cuts through the eastern half of the Rockies and into a national forest. The challenge here is tunnels. Coming in and out of the darkness can turn the sun into a strobe light. Don't get disoriented. It happens way more than you think. Careful about oncoming traffic, especially around these blind turns. Not too blinded by those lighting changes. I once saw a guy flip his spider over the center divide because he couldn't see where the tunnel was. He was all right, but what a waste of a car. These conditions are bad enough, but imagine taking a blind turn and seeing a hypercar speeding towards you on a blind turn. Top speeds are much more respectable now that you've got traction again. Of course, that's true for everyone else too, huh? Just remember that, Rabbit. Push for speed and pray for luck. All the way to the finish. You know, there's a part of me that feels bad that I couldn't tell you about our organization before you'd won the qualifier. But it's our cardinal rule. We never talk about it. I hope you understand why. Talk about $1 million view. We're down in the valley now. No more snowbanks to deal with. Just a few very good drivers and one final race to a destination I think you're gonna appreciate. Here we go. The final leg. You'll be cruising into mining country soon and toward a very special finish line. Keep your eyes peeled for shortcuts. And whatever else happens, win this race for us. You just entered the national park. Watch out for park rangers. They have total authority here, and we don't need some upstart mountain man trying to slow us down. Keep your eyes open. Something's blocking the road up there. The Black Hills were full of gold back in the 1800s. Most of these mines were abandoned ages ago, which is why we were able to buy the one you're gonna see in the finish line. Almost there. This is it. Now is your chance to prove that everything that we've gone through together was worth the goddamn effort, and that I know how to pick 'em. Bring it home. Hell yes! Pulled it off! This is a victory well earned, my friend. You answered my call without question. You hung in there through dust storms and blinding blizzards. You had the courage to follow me into the unknown, and now you seized the chalice at our secret headquarters. Your prize awaits right here in this cave. But what you've really earned today is respect, especially mine.
You know, the Pacific Northwest might have a reputation for being gray and rainy, but when the sun comes out, this is one of the most beautiful cities in the country. You've got Puget Sound, you've got the mountains, you've got a city just bursting with life. So, let's kick it into high gear and check out Seattle. Here we are now. Entertain us! On the left, that's the famous Space Needle, built for the 1962 Seattle World's Fair. As the story goes, its outline was first doodled on a cocktail napkin. Today, it's the most recognizable shape in the city. We're racing alongside the Seattle monorail here, another landmark built for the 1962 World's Fair. And that's another USST classic in the bag. Next up is a place a lot of people leave their hearts as the circuit makes its way to San Francisco. Ah, good old San Francisco. There's a lot of nicknames for the city by the bay, but me, I just call it home. I've lived here in SF for 30 years and proud of it. So let's take a high-octane tour through what I consider the greatest city in the world and show them what it means to be the USST. That's the Bay Bridge up ahead, crossing over to Oakland and the East Bay. Passes through a couple of small islands along the way, too. One of which, known as Treasure Island, is entirely man-made. You can see now some of the Victorian-style architecture that's typical of homes in San Francisco. Rents are pretty high these days, and the city enforces strict rent control. So when people snag a house like that, they stay a long time. Wow, what a glorious race that was. I tell you, we Californians have it made when it comes to the weather. And I hope you're not tired of sunshine, because up next is Miami, Florida.
Chasing money, we forgot to live. those worries behind.
We're here today at the very southern tip of the USA, in a city known for its balmy nights, its epic party scene, and as the gateway to the Americas, Miami. The drivers are lined up at the edge of Little Havana, and this race is about to get underway. And through the Alhambra gate they go, right into the heart of Coral Gables. Bit of a technical stretch coming up here through downtown and some of Miami's tallest skyscrapers. Overhead there, that's one of the city's best-known public transportation links, the Metro Mover. And that brings us to the end of another exciting race in one of the most iconic cities in the country. Stay tuned as our next one takes us way out west to Los Angeles County. Hey, thanks for joining us today in sunny Southern California for this next stage of the USST through the beautiful city of Long Beach. That's not a roller coaster up ahead. It's a pedestrian footbridge designed to look like one, built in honor of an amusement park that used to be here known as the Pike. Nice views of the Pacific coming up after these two turns. On a clear day, you can see all the way out to Catalina and the Channel Islands from here. And that's race number 6 in the can. We've only got 2 more left, and it's going to take us all the way across the country to the capital on the Potomac, Washington, D.C. Wow, 2 races to go. And this first one is through the heart of America's capital. They call it the District of Columbia because it's not a part of the 50 states, of course. But that doesn't mean it's neutral. And these drivers today won't be in neutral either. It's top gear thereafter. So let's see them rip through Washington. Well, it's been pretty smooth racing along the National Mall so far, but they're turning now into the administrative district, where they'll have to start contending with some much sharper turns. Let's see how they handle that. Reaching the end of that first series of 90-degree turns, making their way back onto the National Mall. Wow! And that's a wrap for Washington. Great day, great racing, and even greater things still to come. Next up, we'll be racing through the Loop and the north side of Chicago. Here we are today in the Windy City on the southwest bank of Lake Michigan on an absolutely gorgeous race day afternoon. Many thanks to the mayor of Chicago for agreeing to host us today. And best of luck to our drivers as they kick off this last race of the USST season. Coming up full throttle on turn 1 now, and the site of the famous 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Looks like we're coming in pretty fast towards a hairpin turn just up ahead. Narrow turn coming up after the bridge here. The river underneath is the Chicago River, of course. A beautiful color, even on a normal day. But most famous for being dyed bright green every St. Patrick's Day for 60 years and counting. Into a long straightaway now with the famous Chicago Tower in the distance. Once upon a time, the tallest building in the world, and still the most recognizable building in the city's skyline. And back over the river again. Little known fact, that bright green color on St. Patrick's Day is created using an orange dye that turns the water green on contact. If you're ever in the area on March 17th, it's well worth a trip to the riverbank. And that brings us to the end of this last race of the U.S. Speed Tour. What an amazing series of races this has been for our drivers and for everyone watching at home. We'll be back in a few months with something new and very special. So keep your eye on Motorflix, and I'll see you soon. It is no small feat to build a racetrack over a Great Lake, especially when you consider that Lake Michigan can get to over 900 feet deep. The engineering team used the same deep water construction technology seen in the world's most advanced bridges, which means this track can withstand almost anything. Let's see it get some use. Oh, suction zone coming up ahead. Our test drivers had rave things to say about this technology, which offers drivers an almost completely frictionless acceleration boost. Ooh, I can't wait. A little more about these suction zones. Originally, the engineers were looking at magnetic acceleration, but they settled on a technology that places thousands of tiny computer-controlled vacuum chambers directly onto the track. Don't ask me how it works. All I'll say is, put that on my Christmas list. Hey, here's a fun fact for you. Over 24 commercial scuba divers worked on the construction of these courses, installing massive concrete support pylons up to 500 feet tall. They've been down there inspecting structural integrity after every race. Just another reminder of how much work it takes to make the USST possible. You know, these twisting curves were quite difficult to build, but they were always seen as a core feature of the tracks. They twist for the same reason a roller coaster does, because when you reduce that lateral shear against the tires, there's no reason to ever slow down. You know, it takes a special kind of driver to enjoy speeds this extreme. Because, let's face it, one mistake here and you are at the bottom of Lake Michigan. Massive respect to everyone out there today. I really mean that. This is it. the final race of this year's U.S. Speed Tour. I want to say one last special thank you to Motorfest for making this all possible. Their vision and investment have been just unparalleled in the world of motorsport. So here's looking at many more years of their involvement with the USST. I'll tell you what, a track like this is a dream come true for a racing fan. I spent my childhood building slot car sets, imagining what the future of racing might be. And here, today, hey, I really feel like I'm looking at it. Hope you are too.
The clock's ticking. Give us a lot of action scenes.
Oh, my shocks! Some jump. Tight, but safe. Oh, my new paint! Close call. Oh, my new paint! Opposite teeth. Tight, but safe. Some jump. Close call. Opposite teeth. Close call.
Just so you know what you're getting into, this race isn't some quarter-mile drag deal. It's a long and tricky city-to-city race against some of the meanest drivers in the country. It doesn't count for the list, and it can get rough out there. The stakes are high, but so are the rewards. Winner takes home a Koenigsegg Regera. That's one hell of an expensive car. But the guy organizing the race can afford to put it up and is crazy enough to do it. Which makes me wonder, you normally hit the legal circuit. Why strut your stuff here in an outlaw race?
Here's the thing. Latrell's... You know Latrell Jordan, right? Nice guy, hangs out at the spot? No? Anyway, he's always been there for us. Big stuff like arranging races. Little stuff like showing me where I could get parts a little cheaper. We just want to give back to him like he's given to us. so we want to win this race, modify the car for him, and... I'm talking too much, sorry.
It's a crazy nice gesture. But that and $3 will get you a cup of coffee, and I'm not gonna make it easy on you. Win the race, and then we'll see.
We don't do things the easy way. We do them the right way.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
And remember, Luttrell's counting on us, even if he doesn't know it.
A Vegas to LA road trip? People will think we're trying to get out of town. You can't even wrap yourself around a tree in here because the trees are too big. But the turns are tight enough, you're gonna try. I've got to admit, there's something special about sitting on top of this much power. Ah, Los Angeles, where racing is usually done at 5 miles an hour. Thank God we missed rush hour.
Okay, it's ready. Now, let's see if Latrell likes it.
Well, son of a gun. You pulled it off after all.
I told you we were doing things the right way. But we've got the car. Now all we have to do is make a few mods, and we're down with giving Latrell one heck of a surprise.
that what I think it is?
Yep, and it's all yours.
Tell you what, why don't you and I see what this baby can do? Now, I'm a little out of practice, but don't think you can take it easy on me. Now, are you ready to race? Because I sure am. Back behind the wheel again. And in a beast like this, what a feeling. Don't take it easy on me. I can't handle myself, especially against you. Racing, how I've missed you. Just because we got each other's bags don't mean we don't try to outdo one another. We take pride in our rides, the way they look and the way they run. You see, it's not about breaking the law. I mean, sure, there's a thrill to running outside the lines, but what we're about is something else, something bigger. This is who we are. This is what we do. Showing off our rides, trying to make it pay, trying to keep it real. walking the line between wanting to go legit or keep it on the streets. It's a hard call to make when the world's trying to make you choose. But either way, we're still about the racing. All of us, no matter what. In the end, it's the speed that matters.
I can't believe we pulled it off. But we did! Latrell is super happy with his car. And we're super happy that he's super happy. What more could we ask for? How about next time we keep the $1 zillion car?